Nothing But the Truth, Chapter 16, page 170. 8:16 a.m., conversations between Philip Malloy and students in the hallway on the way to first class. Todd, hey Philip, what's happening, man? Phil, nothing. Todd, you gonna have a press conference? Phil, get off. Joe Crippins, look out, here comes Uncle Sam. That's what Mr. Lunzer called him. Amy Dever, what's it like to be famous? Susan, newspapers and all? Come on, Philip says. I have to get to class. Joe Crippins, let the big man go. Jason Marks, hey Philip, how come you went after Narwin? Todd Becker says it's because you were failing English. That true? Philip, I have a class. Joe, let Uncle Sam go. Letter sent to Philip Malloy. Dear Philip, we support your defense of America. Keep on singing. We all join you. Rolando Merchal, Red Oak, Iowa. Letter sent to Philip Malloy. Dear Philip, we, Miss Harbor's 4th grade class at the Robert Fulton School, like to sing the Star-Spangled Banner too. You can come to our school. Miss Harbor's 4th grade class, Robert Fulton School, Brooklyn, New York. Telegram delivered to Philip Malloy. To Philip Malloy, American Legion Post number 16 of Newport, Rhode Island, salute you for your defense of American values. Fight the good fight. Thumbs up. 9:20 a.m., conversation between Dr. Albert Seymour and Ted Griffin, candidate for the Harrison School Board. Dr. Seymour, Mr. Griffin, nice to meet you. Come right in. Mr. Griffin, thank you very much. Seymour, get you some coffee? Griffin, no thanks. Seymour, looks like we're finally getting some decent weather. Griffin, absolutely. Seymour, look, Mr. Griffin, call me Ted. Dr. Seymour, fine, Ted, I'm Al. Now, aside from wanting to get to meet you, Ted, I've heard you speak a couple of times, was very interested in what you had to say. I thought it would be a good idea generally to meet you and sort of talk things over. Mr. Griffin, Al, I appreciate that. Dr. Seymour, now what we've got here, well, the media, they never pay attention to us unless something bad. Mr. Griffin, right, I never trust anything that's in print. Dr. Seymour, exactly. The bottom line, but we've got these elections coming up, budget, Mr. Griffin, and the board. Dr. Seymour, exactly. I have a policy. I strongly believe in this, that I'm prepared to work with anyone who's on that board, the people's voice, that sort of thing, and we all want the same thing. Mr. Griffin, educating the kids. Dr. Seymour, exactly. We share that. But the budget thing? Mr. Griffin, have to keep costs down. Dr. Seymour, absolutely. But Ted, I'll be frank with you. All this publicity, negative publicity, won't do us any good. Mr. Griffin, I understand. Dr. Seymour, and you understand that first budget was tight and this second one, to the bone. Get any closer and we're scooping marrow. And I understand no one wants to pay a cent more, but without that budget, education is in big trouble here in Harrison. Mr. Griffin, people want to hold the line on taxes. Dr. Seymour, I sympathize. I pay taxes too, but again, to be frank, there's been a real misunderstanding regarding this national anthem thing. It doesn't help. Mr. Griffin, very disturbing. Dr. Seymour, exactly, it is. Let me share some of the facts with you. Mr. Griffin, that's all I'm looking for. Dr. Seymour, I appreciate that. What the media has done is confuse certain things. Mr. Griffin, something's confused. Dr. Seymour, exactly. First, though, let me tell you so you're quite clear, we have no rule against singing the national anthem. Never have had, never will, not as long as I'm superintendent. Mr. Griffin, but the boy was suspended. Dr. Seymour, just getting to that. What I suspect here, we've got a personal problem. Mr. Griffin, the boy? He seems... Dr. Seymour, now Ted, I'm speaking in confidence. Mr. Griffin, sure. Dr. Seymour, then we understand, Ted. It's not the boy, it's the teacher. Mr. Griffin, this Narwin gal? Dr. Seymour, exactly. Mr. Griffin, well, I thought, between you and me, what kind of problem? Dr. Seymour, okay, let me quote from a letter she wrote. This was to her principal just a few weeks ago. I can't give you a copy, you understand, privacy and all. Mr. Griffin, I understand. Dr. Seymour, but I can read a part of it to you so you can understand what I'm up against. Mr. Griffin, sure, go on. Dr. Seymour, she says, this Narwin woman, yes, here, now I'm quoting her. The truth is, I feel that sometimes... Get this. I am a little out of touch with contemporary teaching and just as important, the students who come before me. In other words, she's been around, what can I say, since history began? Mr. Griffin, oh boy, you've got a problem there. Tenure. Dr. Seymour, exactly. The question is, what are you and I going to do about it? 12:30 p.m. Lunchroom conversation between Philip Malloy and Todd Becker. Todd, you don't have to sit alone, you know. Phil, I'm okay. Todd, can I sit? Phil, suit yourself. Todd, what's happening? Phil, nothing. Todd, that true you're going to be on TV? Phil, who told you that? Todd, Susan Vogel. Phil, no way. Todd, but you're famous, right? All that newspaper stuff? Phil, what you come over here for, just to tease me? Todd, just trying to be friendly. Phil, yeah, sure, stuff it. Todd Becker, suit yourself. 12:35 p.m., faculty lunchroom conversation between Margaret Narwin and Mr. Bennison. Mr. Bennison, you okay, Peg? Narwin, bit of a headache. Bennison, I saw those telegrams. Narwin, it's awful. Bennison, yeah, well, it's a crazy world. Who's that guy who said everybody will be famous for a few minutes? Miss Narwin, Andy Warhol. I really can't stand this. Bennison, I know, a lot of people upset, that's for sure. Narwin, what do you mean? Bennison, I must have had 10 calls last night saying, neighbors, a couple of family people, asking is it true? I told them, look, it wasn't anything like that, that you didn't mean it to happen that way. Miss Narwin, what did you say I meant? Mr. Bennison, you know, some personal thing happens all the time. Miss Narwin, that's not what it was. The boy was being rude. Mr. Bennison, okay, Peg, I know that, but no one expected, you know, all this. What people are saying, we'll never get our budget. Miss Narwin, I really don't want to talk about it anymore. Mr. Bennison, now wait a minute, Peg, don't go off. 1:30 p.m., conversation between Philip Malloy and Margaret Narwin. Philip, Miss Narwin? Miss Narwin, Philip, what are you doing here? What do you want? Philip Malloy, my class. Miss Narwin, you're not in this section anymore. You were switched. Philip Malloy, I was? Miss Narwin, you're in Mr. Keegan's class. Philip Malloy, but, Miss Narwin, what? Philip Malloy, to get my grade up, I was going to ask for extra work. Miss Narwin, Philip, you're no longer in my class. Didn't you hear me? Philip Malloy, so I could get on the track team, and Miss Narwin, you're not in my class. Philip Malloy, but what about the grade? Miss Narwin, please leave the room. I want you out. Sarah, take this note to Dr. Doan. Philip Malloy, but Miss Narwin, you must leave. Go. Philip Malloy, I'm leaving. Miss Narwin, speak to Dr. Doan now. Please leave. 2:50 p.m., conversation between Philip Malloy and Coach Jameson. Coach Jameson, oh, Philip, didn't see you there. Phil, can I talk to you a minute? Coach Jameson, yeah, sure, got a minute. Phil, remember when you said I should ask Miss Narwin for some extra work? Coach Jameson, sure. Philip, so I could get my grade up, get on the team? Jameson, okay. Philip, she won't let me. Coach, she won't let you what? Philip, do more work. Coach, well, look, you did one hell of a number on her. Philip, I mean, I'm not even in her class anymore. She must have kicked me out. Coach, they put you in another class? Phil, yeah, but I was trying to get some extra work. If I could stay in her class, Philip, you want my advice? Philip, I tried. Coach, I'm always telling you guys, it's what sports is all about. A rule is a rule. To get along, you have to play along. You know what I'm saying? Philip, what about my running with the team? Coach, look, Philip, you did a number on Miss Narwin. Didn't I tell you right from the start? You were way off base. She's a good person. You have to be a team player. Haven't you heard me say that? So you can't just come around now and start asking for things. If it just doesn't work that way. Look, Phil, I've got practice. And look, by next year, this will all be over. I sure hope so. 3:30 p.m. conversation between Margaret Narwin and Dr. Gertrude Doan. Dr. Doan, would you like a cup of coffee? Narwin, my nerves are too tight as it is. Dr. Doan, it's astonishing. Did I tell you I had another call from a TV reporter? Narwin, no, absolutely not. Doan, I don't blame you. Miss Narwin, you wanted to see me? Dr. Doan, just that some good has come out of all this. Miss Narwin, that would be nice. What is it? Dr. Doan, Peg, do you remember you put in an application for funds, some kind of refresher course, English teaching? I'm not sure what, for the summer? Miss Narwin, vaguely. Dr. Doan, I talked to Al Seymour and, Miss Narwin, don't mention him to me. That's statement. Dr. Doan, as a way of showing his support, he managed to find some money, and you can take that special course. Miss Narwin, well, that is nice. Dr. Doan, we'll expedite the application. Miss Narwin, I'm very grateful. Dr. Doan, there's only one thing. Miss Narwin, the deadline? Dr. Doan, no, it's not that, Peg. Knowing how upsetting this all is, the superintendent wants you to take the rest of the term off. Miss Narwin, what? Dr. Doan, the rest of the term. Miss Narwin, but... Dr. Doan, well, Al knows because I told him how upsetting all this is to you, and take the time off, full pay, of course, and then take that course, and you'll come back fall term, and, well, things will be fine. It's very kind of him. Miss Narwin, in other words, he wants me to leave. Dr. Doan, no, you've misunderstood, truly, Peg, only as a way of getting out from the pressure. I mean, all these telegrams, calls, it would be administrative leave. You'll lose no time on your pension. As I said, full-time, with pay. You could be with your sister, a sabbatical. You've never had one. Miss Narwin, no. Dr. Doan, Peg, you have to see it from our side. Miss Narwin, aren't we on the same side? Dr. Doan, that's not the point. Miss Narwin, what is the point? Dr. Doan, Peg, Al is deeply worried about our budget. 6:30 p.m., conversation between Philip Malloy's parents. Hey, where's Philip? Up in his room. These telegrams, incredible. He's very upset. About the telegrams? Something at school. That teacher again? He wouldn't say. When he came home, I don't think he even looked at that stack. He doesn't seem very happy. He wouldn't talk about it. Weird. I almost thought he was going to start crying. Crying? Maybe you could talk to him. Sure. Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. I'll talk to him. Hon? What? My sister called. From Conover? She said Philip could go to school in their district. That's absurd. Maybe it isn't. Maybe this is too much. Susan. Just a thought. 6:45 p.m., phone conversation between Margaret Narwin and her sister, Anita Wiggum. Anita, Peg, I am shocked. Miss Narwin, well, you can imagine how I felt. The dishonesty of it. And from Gertrude, of all people, I still find it impossible to believe. Anita, but what are you going to do? Miss Narwin, Anita, I don't know. I truly don't know. 6:50 p.m., conversation between Philip Malloy and his father. Mr. Malloy, Philip, I want you to open the door so we can talk. I don't want to talk. What happened in school? Nothing. Look, dinner will be ready in 5 minutes. I'm not hungry. Then what are you going to do? I don't know. 8:30 p.m. from a speech delivered by Ted Griffin to a meeting of the Harrison Downtown Association. Mr. Griffin, that I can be a forceful, productive member of the board is clear. It was I who made public this sad story regarding a boy who was removed from class merely because of his desire to express his patriotism. Even though I'm not yet a member of the board, I was able to meet with Superintendent Seymour, who has, I assure you, my deepest respect, and discuss in a calm, rational fashion what might be done. When it became clear that the problem was not with school policy itself, but the misguided judgment of a particular teacher, a teacher out of touch with Harrison values, a solution was worked out that is equitable to all and preserves the good name of our community. The boy's back in class where he belongs and wants to be. The teacher in question will get a needed refresher course in our values and return to her duties next year, better able to teach. Our community will support just these kinds of productive compromises, and therefore I urge all of you on April 5th to support the school budget proposal set before the voters. It is a thoughtful budget. Let me make this perfectly clear. The budget is fiscally prudent, and I, for one, support it. 8:50 p.m. from the Diary of Philip Malloy. Things stink, and it's all so unfair. Nobody takes my side. They all think Narwin's great. Nobody pays any attention to what she did to me. Coach Jameson won't let me on the team. I hate that school. 9:30 p.m., phone conversation between Margaret Narwin and Robert Duval, reporter. Miss Narwin, I really don't wish to talk about it. Mr. Duval, ma'am, Miss Narwin, it seems to me from what I've come to understand about you and what happened that the original story does not make a great deal of sense. For instance, at one point, Dr. Doan, your principal, told me you were one of the district's best teachers. Miss Narwin, did she? Duval, yes, ma'am, she did. Narwin, I'm not so sure she would still say so. Duval, what do you mean? Mr. Duval, Miss Narwin, I am truly interested in getting out your story. It's been awfully one-sided. Miss Narwin, that's certainly true. People seem to believe that this boy is rather special. Nobody seems to want to pay any attention to what actually happened. I've been asked to resign. Mr. Duval, by whom? Miss Narwin, the school, the district. Miss Narwin, I'm prepared to fly out and talk to you. I really do think there's something important here. I'd like to get it out to the public. Miss Narwin? Miss Narwin, very well. Come along. I'll talk to you.